3, 2, 1. We are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome. We're here. It's Tuesday night. We're gonna get into some deep things. We've been researching some stuff. We want to get into some deep discussion about things that I think a lot of people aren't talking about. Thank you for everybody who's tuned in right now. Make sure you share the stream. Make sure you let everybody know that we're live right now. And to come get some of this message, you're watching Young Lion TV. Come get
Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, won't you get up and stop fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding. Young lion.
That's right. We're live. You're watching Young Lion TV. Right next to me is my brother from another mother, my twin. Right now we're twinning with the Jatan, the 20-year Jatan shirts on right now. Yes. My boy Stan Golden.
What up?
And then, of course, we got Jake and Moan sitting on the other side of the room.
Hello.
It's a nice purple background.
Purple.
And we got holding it down on the cameras this evening is my little brother, John. Say what's up to everybody. You got a mic today.
Hello.
Oh.
He's in there. He said hello.
Soon he'll have a camera, but we just got him.
I don't think he wants to be on camera.
He's going to be eventually.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's okay. But I'm just happy he actually was like, yo, give me a mic today. I was like, okay.
Okay.
But first and foremost, I want to shout out everybody who's watching right now. We got Raheem. What's up, Junior? We got Mom watching. What's up, Mom? Emmanuel Fon. Who's that? Is that Emma?
That's Emma, yeah.
What up, Emma? We got Carmen Martinez. She gives the fire emoji. Crystal. Lala. I think that's Lala. Luis Diaz. Craig H. Evans. Kasari, Mercado, Betsy Daly, everybody who's watching, we appreciate you. Stan Golden. And remember, share this, please. Share this, because that's the only way people will know about it. That's the only thing that really helps us out, because we don't have the huge marketing budget that a lot of these places have. We just kind of humbly get on here and talk for a little bit and let people know the things that we've learned and we've figured out and we've been led to. So when you share it, you help us out more than anything else. You like it and share it and all that good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube right now, we appreciate you also. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all of that good stuff. But without further ado, Mike Lopez says, hey, cuz, what's up? Jay Cope's watching. What's up, Jay?
What up?
So how y'all been, man? You
Good.
just went on vacation. Good. You weren't here last week.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you did.
Vacation.
Tell us about your little time you got to.
I mean, it wasn't that long. It was a few days, but we just took the family up North Jersey. We went to Mountain Creek.
Okay.
It's like usually it's like skiing, but they have like a water park up there. It was cool.
Jersey? It's in Jersey?
Yeah,
Oh.
North Jersey. They have like, it's like a mountain water park. So they have like rapids and the raft. You get in like the raft and it's cool. It was exciting. It's a little different than a regular water park. They had like you could jump off cliffs into the water. They were like really high. Slides that were high off into the water.
Nice.
Lost my Apple Watch.
Oh, no.
Yo, is this the cliff you dropped off of right there?
Yeah.
Okay. How high is that right there?
I can't really see it, but I think
He
that's
said it
the
was
one.
higher than the Bahamas one.
But it's pretty high.
That's the rapid you were telling me about?
Yeah, that's the rapid one.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
didn't
this place
have-
looks pretty cool, man.
We didn't have to wear a helmet.
Y'all ain't have no helmets?
No.
They did y'all dirty. It was like, get on out there and kill yourselves.
my,
Yeah, right. My 8-year-old, my Layla, she was,
My 8-year-old, 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 when she did the rapid ride, she was scared. That's why I'm like, damn, they got helmets on. They didn't even give us any.
That's probably just for the photo shoot,
Yeah.
right? They're like,
I
the photo
guess.
shoot was like, we care about safety here at war. And then when you get there, they're like, get on out of here, get down there. You don't barely even got a raft. You're like, but we don't fit.
No, but it was cool. It was fun. We had fun with the family. You know.
Oh, that looks.
Look at that. Look at that
looks
slide right
steep.
there.
Yeah, that.
Did you go on that?
No, it was closed.
Oh, okay.
Boo.
That side was closed, which sucked. I guess it was because of COVID.
Why do they close slides, man? Like that. Close.
There was a lot of stuff that made no sense, like the rapid ride. You see how there was like 4 people on it?
Yeah.
They only let 2 people on, and it's like, if you're going on with people, it's your own people
Right,
that you come
right,
there with.
yeah.
So
So
how does that make any sense?
Bruh, there's
you
a
rode
lot-
in the car together there.
Yeah.
But once you get to the water, it's like
There's a lot of
it's
stuff
problem.
about this that don't make any
Yeah,
sense.
Yeah.
Like
at all.
they can pack a plane, to capacity now, but you can't have concerts.
Yeah.
You sit next to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tiffany
Backwards
said,
stuff.
"Hey guys."
What up, Tiff?
What up?
Jacob said, "I need to go there ASAP." Right? I know. I'm trying to get there
Yeah.
too. He told me about it, and I was like, "I gotta get there."
It's fun, and
What was
it was like I mean, I don't know if it was because of COVID, but it wasn't like a lot of people, so you weren't sitting in line. The lines went fast,
Nice.
so you
That's
could
good.
go on stuff a lot. Like I had to take, I got Jakey, Layla, so I had to go take one, then take the other one.
Yeah.
how
you
come
know.
how come Leslie didn't take one? She don't do rides.
She don't do
either.
rides.
Well,
What's going on with his?
she
mic?
does, but there were other reasons that I'm not going to go into. Personal stuff.
What was the? Was it steep? Deep
Check,
pockets
check.
Or
No.
was it expensive? No.
No, I mean I don't. It was only $25.
Damn,
Yeah, so it was
That's pretty
cheap.
cheap.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty.
So-
That's good.
that's way cheaper than Six Flags.
It
is.
Or like Great Wolf. And
Wait,
all
how
that
much is
stuff.
Clementon Park?
well,
Clementon
dude,
Park is not
it's closed.
$25.
Clementon Park is
I
closed.
just want to
closed.
see because
Clementon Park is
I
at
don't know.
least
Clementon-
35.
No, what I'm
Clementon
saying
Park
is,
is
Jamie,
like-
I don't even think you can find it. 'cause
I'm just saying, I want to see how much their admission is.
They're
it's
shut
closed.
down.
Like it's not open.
Oh, they shut it down
yes.
forever?
Yes,
Yeah.
forever.
I didn't even know that.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
When
Was
did that happen?
Was it after all
Last
that
year?
people standing
Right.
in the car twerking
Oh, yo, didn't
situation?
a bunch of people get like stabbed?
I don't remember.
Wasn't there a big fight or something?
I don't know
Something
about that.
happened there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they're dancing in the parking lot, and I think the following week or something else happened.
Anyway, if it would have been closed after this because there's no way
Yeah.
they was going to be able to get people to socially distance there.
Yeah.
Did they were they taking that into it was just like when you go into a
They
restaurant?
okay. So there was like an eating area where you had to wear a mask, or like wherever you bought stuff, you had to wear a mask. But you didn't have to wear a mask anywhere. Like they recommended it, but
Right.
you didn't have to wear the mask. And then the lines are like regular.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
nobody's
There's
social
no
distancing.
like distancing in the lines.
No,
That's funny.
no.
They probably figured the
there
chlorine.
is.
They probably figured the chlorine, right? The chlorine is pumped with
They ain't figuring anything. They just don't care.
I mean, it says like,
Yeah, yeah.
6 feet apart, but
I'm trying
Nobody's
to.
doing
I'm trying to help them out, man. You trying to get them closed
Yeah,
down
yeah.
before me and Jay Copes can get over there and go to the water.
I'm
park.
going too.
Murphy's
I'm going
listening.
too.
Where'd
Yeah.
he go?
Actually, but no, stuff is about to start opening up. Gyms are open now,
Yeah, they
today was
opened
the
today.
first day, yeah.
and then didn't they talk about indoor dining?
Yeah, Friday,
Yeah.
Friday indoor dining is
25%.
But I
Yeah.
heard you gotta like have a window open. You have to have the windows open to
For the-
be able to do the indoor dining.
Really?
Yeah, which makes no sense.
okay.
I tell you.
They
Because
always
COVID-
go, baby.
they always throw some.
Because
Yeah.
COVID
As you go.
likes the fresh air, and
It needs the fresh air.
they go to the window.
Dude, I saw Andrew Schultz was doing these comedy shows, and I saw pictures of like they're doing these outdoor comedy venues, which is pretty much like a stage, and then they do a tent, and it's a bunch of chairs. But by the time it's a tent with walls,
Right.
You're inside. It's like you're literally in another location. It's just the illusion, I guess, because there's grass or something. It's like the illusion of being outside.
Is there 4 walls?
Yeah. There's 4. I think maybe the front of it has like a doorway, but it's still a wall with like a doorway cut into a tent, like the old Hebrew tents. You know what I'm saying?
The doorway's open, so
That
They qualify.
I mean, really, like, what are we talking about? Like,
Yeah.
if you think about, like, look at all the backlash with the churches.
Yeah.
You know, opening up. But yet, have you heard anything about synagogues or mostly
mosques.
mosques? Like,
yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
has been on the news about
Yeah.
going against that stuff. But
Yeah.
the churches, it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, they definitely are coming after them.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're a church, what is your duty to like still open and still serve your people? Like, do you just go against what they're saying, or do you open up? Like, what should be your stance on that? If you're a church, like, you're supposed to put God first, like you're supposed to fear the Lord first. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I believe that you should be listening to God,
right.
you know, and going by what he says. But, you know, people have their own stances.
yeah.
And just like anything else, like, you know,
I think I'm gonna be honest. I think that a lot of these churches do what they're told because they're beholden to that 501c3 tag.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know
they
what
don't
I
want to
mean?
lose. They don't
And
want to lose their
that
license.
can be
or lose
held
their
over
but
church.
their
we're
head.
just talking about
Yeah.
like what you should be. You
Right.
know,
Right.
you should be listening to God, not
Right, but I'm saying the reason why they don't push back against it
is
is because they've already taken that ticket of, well, I'm tax exempt. You know what I mean?
That's the same reason why a lot of people don't deal with politics at all.
Yeah.
You know, when it's like you kind of have to take a stance on something because that's the kingdom. Like,
Yeah, I was talking to James about that today, just about like churches taking more of a stance on things. Certain topics they won't touch because it's not popular with the congregation. There's a fear of losing members. You know what I
Right.
mean?
and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Fear.
Mm-hmm.
We're not supposed to fear, but yet people are afraid of holding on to members that need to be. If they're wanting to go, then the whole point is for people to come out of the system that we're in. You know, that's why we're in the position that we're in right now. It's because everybody's scared. And when you're in the same lane, then what's the point of your church? It's really kind of
Yeah.
pointless, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You're living just like everyone else. You know what I mean?
The world.
How are you separating yourself? How are you? But speaking of fear, I'm trying to pull up this thing. I wanted to show you guys this. Have you guys heard about this? How the CDC released that report quietly
yeah.
in the night? We're gonna bring this
Oh,
up
yeah.
real quick. Okay, here
They
we go.
didn't do a press conference or anything.
They didn't tell anybody about
It
it.
was very
Um,
quiet.
You know, and when you talk about the CDC, you talk about like the science and
Yeah.
trust the science.
Trust the science.
And the
Believe the
experts.
science
And we've been
is-
talking about that on here for a while where it's like they always throw that out there, these experts. But it's like when the experts don't agree, you're just putting people in chaos and you're putting people in fear because they don't know what to think.
Yeah.
And then we see stuff like this where now all of a sudden there's being light shed on what these numbers really are. And it's like, what are we supposed to make of this now? Like, you just released that, like, oh, by the way, only 9,000 of the deaths from COVID were only because of COVID. You know what I mean?
Out of 153,000
I was gonna say
people, 9,000.
6%.
Joe
6%.
Biden's not right.
What do you mean?
that gaff that he just had about that in one year,
Oh, yeah.
150,000
Oh, yeah.
You know.
stuttering.
Well, you know, that's what they kept toting out there because it's politically expedient. That's the problem with this, and this is the problem that I have with this
Expedient.
whole.
Such a nice word, expedient.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's advantageous for them to keep bringing that number up because it puts it puts something in your brain where you're like, oh my God,
That's
is
a lot of
this
people.
is crazy, you know, and when you hear like we keep hearing about people that got COVID, we keep hearing about it, you know.
And again, what happened? People automatically go to fear.
Yeah.
So now people like, well, that's the whole thing. Like, how can we give up some of our rights? How can we, how can we get people to give up their rights? How can we get people to be more compliant?
Right.
You put them in a state of fear.
Yeah.
And this article goes into the original study, the model that this whole shutdown was based off of, that fraudulently thought we were going to have 2.2 million deaths.
It was based off of the guy in England, right?
Yeah, who got
Great brain.
fired from his position because he was sneaking his mistress in while this was all going on.
But wasn't he wrong before?
He was wrong about mad cow disease. He was wrong about a bunch of things. But
all right. So
the worst part about this
experts, man.
article, when you read it, though, I'm trying to find it. But there's information in the CDC report that literally says, it says that the other 94% of deaths due to COVID were because of 2 or 3 underlying serious issues, sometimes even intentional or unintentional bodily harm.
intentional and unintentional.
How are you listing that as a COVID death?
They were even saying accidents.
That's what I'm saying. So that's unintentional bodily harm, right? Like you fall down the stairs and break your neck, and it's like, but you had COVID, so that's listed.
Listen, but we already said
we've said that, but it's like to hear them put that in the report where it's like intentional or unintentional bodily harm. It's like, what are we doing? Like,
but that's what we're doing. This is the reality we're in, and we have to wake up.
Yeah.
And I think people are waking up.
And but if not
slowly, but there's this whole control of social shame that is being used to keep people from waking up.
And that's that's always a tactic. Like, oh, you don't know this, because even in this, like this information, like you can even lord over somebody with this information. Like, oh, you didn't know that? Like, you need to be paying attention. And even in that, like, where's the compassion?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where's the love? Because a lot of people want to, facts don't care about your feelings type thing.
Right.
Like, people want to lord over you with the things that they know. And it's still like a way to just like, keep people in that box.
Yeah.
Even though you can say like, you got to get free, but
where is the love?
And why wasn't that reported widely? It doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think people don't realize how things like this are used for political reasons mainly, and I think that there's a lot of politicians out there that have seen this as an opportunity to gain power, gain influence, gain control over their state, over their party, over their town, over their city, their voter base,
the country.
Because they use fear all the time. I was just, you remember Never Ending Story? I know you remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just watching the other day. Somehow I went down this rabbit hole and I came on that clip of when Atreyu finally confronts Gamork.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know anything about Never Ending Story?
I watch it. I don't know who Gamork is, but I know
the wolf.
Gamork is the wolf that's been like hunting him the whole time.
Yeah.
You know Never Ending Story? Okay. Yeah. So when we were kids, like we watched that movie 1,000,000 times because our babysitter used to babysit us with the TV.
Just make us watch it.
So that was one of the movies she made us watch all the time. But that scene, as a kid, it doesn't sink in. But the conversation they're having, and he's like, "Why is this happening?" And Gamork is like, "The nothing is." He says Fantasia has no bounds. You know what I mean? It's the ideas of people. It's the imagination of people and what they can do and what the world can be. You know what I mean? The nothing is brought in because people start to lose hope.
Mm.
So the nothing gains ground the more people lose hope. And he was like, and then he says, and I'm here to help it. Help the nothing. And he's like, but why? Why would you do that? He was like, because when people lose hope, they're easy to control. You know what I mean? So and what I thought about immediately was what we're in right now. As soon as people get scared and get in fear, there's something that they don't
Wolves in sheep clothing.
know. Wolves in sheep's clothing.
Oh, wow.
You lose hope, and then you willingly give up your freedom. You beg for it.
Yep.
I mean, think about now. Like, people are literally already talking about lining up for this vaccine. It's being rushed through without any trials,
Human
without
trial.
any, testing. It's just it's called Operation Warp Speed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And people are going to beg for this vaccine.
and it's been a condition. Like, it's funny. Like, when this first started, how people were watching the movies, like pandemic movies.
Yeah.
And so people will go back and watch those things, but they've already been programmed into people's minds.
They don't
and
realize that
psyches.
you watching Contagion 15 years ago already puts this in your mind as, oh, this could pop. So when it does happen, that's what they're doing now. I want to go into, before we get into the Black Lives Matter thing, I want to, because that's what they've been doing with this mail-in voting thing.
Mhm.
That's what they've been doing. Like, they've been setting up this idea that,
And that's what they always do. It's,
Right.
Because it's just over and over again. Just put this in your mind. Put this in your mind. So then when it happens, see, like
Right.
it was already in
it
planning.
was already there. You
And-
already saw it coming.
And then you blow. Like, you see it manifested in the cities, but they're sleeper cells.
Right.
You become a sleeper cell, especially like when you're just programmed, like literally mind control programmed by this media. You just become a sleeping cell until the right trigger comes to wake you up so that you can attack. But they know that eventually you'll become a liability.
Right.
You're you're an asset, just like, what's the movie, Born Identity?
Yeah.
Like, they're an asset, but they can become a liability. And so it's something that, like, can be controlled to a certain extent, but it's not really something you can control.
Right. You can't control a mob.
you can
only like
Right.
feed it in a way where you can kind of guide it, but you
Right.
can't control it.
And now you're starting to see that. Like, now you're starting to see it was something it was an asset for them, but now they're switching the whole narrative because it's getting out of control. Now
That's
it's starting to backfire.
The Ted Wheeler thing. Have you seen what happened with that dude?
No.
He's the mayor of Portland.
Oh yeah.
So Ted Wheeler had been, allowing a lot of this craziness to happen in Portland for the last 80 something days now.
90, yeah.
Is it 90 now?
Yeah, it's close to 90.
And I mean, he was even out there with them. He went out and protested with them. And the funny thing was, they were like
Get out.
yelling at him, telling him to resign, So he's been adamantly turning down any type of help to, stop this violence from happening. Dude just got executed 2 days ago.
Yeah.
People been getting killed, over 30 people killed. You know what I mean? It's crazy over there. And he, the whole time, has been in denial, thinking that if he sides with the protesters, that'll get him reelected. So I think it was yesterday they showed up at his apartment building and pushed their way into the lobby, into his condo building, where there's it's probably this, I would assume it's this facility where a lot of higher end people live. He's the mayor,
Right.
and they pushed their way in and they started protesting inside his building, and they said, we're not leaving until he resigns and defunds the police. And then that escalated into people lighting off fireworks inside the building, trying to start fires inside the building, like not caring what happens to all the residents that live in there.
No regard for human life.
And it's all because he thought that he could appease the mob, you know what I mean, by letting them do what they want. It's like a parent who thinks that my child is acting out. Well, let me just give them what they want, and then I'll always be the cool parent. They'll never come against me.
Yeah.
Until he does.
Right.
It's bad parenting.
And what is a mayor supposed to be? They're supposed to be
Make the hard decisions.
ruling over that city.
I mean, first of all, like, when you take going up the ladder, like when you take a job like that, you're supposed to be serving the community,
Right.
you know, be it mayor, be it councilman, be it judge, police, prosecutors. Like, you're supposed to be serving the community, but a lot of these people are taking it as a power over the community, you know, all the way up. And this is what you're seeing.
Not only that, it's a path to more power. That's all it is.
It's a
Like,
path
this is a
to-
stepping stone for me. My ambitions are to be from mayor to senator to
vice president.
to president. You know what I mean? Like, that's the goal. You know?
And then there's a false humility that they put forth, you know, that's starting to become more and more obvious
right.
to people. I think they're starting to see past it because you can't act your way. Like, that's the thing. A lot of these people have been acting. How do you stay? And another part is a lot of people they go into those booths and they just press the button. It's Democrat or Republican.
Right. Party line. And that's it.
Yeah. And so you had areas where, like, somebody stays in Congress for 40 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen? You fell asleep. You don't care. It's just whatever. Oh, they're Democrat. Okay, I'm just gonna vote for them.
Dude,
And
that's how AOC won that primary, because the
Right.
dude Crowley didn't even campaign. Like, he had been there for like 30 years or something, and like, he was like, "Oh, this is my seat. I'll never be removed."
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was easy. And a lot of those younger progressives that came in through brand new Democrats and whatever, Justice Democrats, brand new Congress was the name of the super PAC. But Justice Democrats brought in all these young progressives on those seats of these longtime,
Progressives or
Yeah.
socialists.
it's like one and the same. now.
But that's the thing with, like, that's somebody who doesn't care. Then you have an AOC who she probably does care, but she's just, it's like somebody who cares that wants to save the world but has no understanding of how it works.
like Greta
there's-
Thunberg.
Right.
I was thinking about her.
There, and so you're putting somebody in there. It
The word out of my
sounds
mouth.
good,
It
but
sounds
they
good.
don't have any real skill.
right.
You know,
Right. They're not equipped with the proper tools to fix the problems.
right? So
You know.
so they're gonna cause more problems.
Yeah.
You know,
She's good at social media.
She's great at social media. Following is incredible.
but that has nothing to do with serving the people.
But anyway, let me show you guys what I was talking about with this mail-in voting stuff. So what I want to do is I'm gonna bring up this article from. See if I can find it. I think it's from 2012.
Yo, can't we vote in person?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, in the general.
And that's the joke. Like, you got all these people that are going to all these marches and this thing and that thing, but yet they don't want to. They act like people can't go to vote.
Yeah.
I mean, let me just play this right here. First of all, Dr. Burke said that, you can vote
What
if you
about
want to.
voting? So many people are
This is,
concerned. We're in an
Fauci right
election
here.
year. Some people are going
That's
to be
this
heading
year.
to the polls in the next few weeks. Can
This is like
people
last
safely
week.
go out and vote in person, given that this year there is so much concern around the vote?
I think if carefully done according to the guidelines, there's no reason that I can see why that not be the case. For example, when you look at going to a grocery store now in many regions and counties and cities that are doing it correctly, they have X's every 6 or more feet. And it says, don't leave this spot until the person in front of you left their spot. And you can do that if you go and wear a mask, if you observe the physical distancing and don't have a crowded situation. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that. I mean, obviously, if you're a person who is compromised physically or otherwise, or you don't want to take the chance, there's the situation of mail-in voting that is done for years in many places. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to vote in person or otherwise.
Out of the guy's mouth that everyone just worships. You know what I'm saying? Like, Fauci right there said there's no reason why you can't have mail-in voting. So with that said, there was an article. I'm going to see if I can find. I thought I had it pulled up. It's from the New York Times. It was back in 2012, and it was talking about the issues with mail-in voting. And it was showing how, like, the problems are that there's not a lot of checks and balances when you mail in ballots. And, you know, ballots get lost. People can throw them away. There's been cases in the past where people did throw them away. People would just dump them somewhere.
Yeah.
They can't be found.
Yeah, you can see right on the back if it literally says R or D.
Yeah.
Like if you're registered Republican or Democrat.
So if someone is collecting, if a Republican who is in charge of collecting mail-in ballots wants to do some shady shit, which has been happening.
Yeah,
it
happened in New York. They took away 30,000 votes, right?
More than that.
20,000.
More than that.
Wow.
I think they got to redo that election.
Check this out right here.
Sure you talking about?
Check this out right here.
80,000. Whoa.
Over
I was way
80,000
off.
ballots in New York City primary were disqualified. And what gets them disqualified? It's up to the person's discretion. It could be a signature that they think doesn't look good. It could be something that was filled out sloppy. It could be something that and the same thing happened in Paterson, New Jersey. Over 800. That one, the judge ordered that they had to redo the election in Paterson because these mail-in ballots came in and people kept disqualifying them. You know what I mean? I think there was like 800 or something in Patterson.
Yeah.
You know, but
sounds right.
They want that chaos.
So what they want is they want to keep pushing the idea of this because COVID is the perfect excuse for that.
Yeah.
So they want to push that because I think that there is a clear fear. It's all right, dude. You good? Look, this is laid back, brother. So there's a real fear that they may lose this election, especially with the way the polling's going now. So I think they're like holding this, no pun intended, this trump card in their pocket where they can do the mail-in voting thing because they want to just cause enough chaos where they can at least prolong the outcome in some way, or make it muddy in a way where they can take it to court. I've been saying it, y'all know I've been saying this for weeks. Like they're trying to muddy it up enough where this can at least put illegitimacy on whatever happens in the election. Whether it goes either way, they can.
But they're not going to say it. They're
No,
going to
they're not
stay
gonna say
quiet on that side.
Wait a
and
second.
Push the other side.
Hillary talking.
Wait
though.
a second. Let me bring this up real quick. Boom.
Yeah.
Let me bring this up real quick. Hillary Clinton.
Bro, I swear you reached my mind. today.
Biden should not concede under any circumstances. Okay, and if you read this article, we'll play her clip. But if you read,
it's going to be a close election. As I said in my speech, you can win 3 million more votes and still, not get elected because of the Electoral College. It all comes down to the
Going
Electoral
to drag
College.
out due to mail-in voting. Clinton told former aide Jennifer Palmieri on Showtime.
If it's a close election, like say Biden, say Biden wins, what do you think Trump will do?
Look, I think that they have a couple of scenarios that they're looking toward. One is messing up absentee balloting.
Right, of course.
They believe that helps them. So that they then get maybe a narrow advantage in the Electoral College on Election Day. Because remember, we've seen a couple of cases, like in Wisconsin, where they did everything they could to mess up voting, but because courts had ordered absentee ballots to be counted if they were postmarked on Election Day, Democrats actually won some important races there. In the recent Michigan primary, I was told...
First of all, I want to just point out that absentee ballots are nowhere the same as mail-in ballots.
Right. Yeah.
Absentee ballots you have to be registered, you have to, it has to be verified in a different way. Mail-in ballots, they're just sending
just mail
ballots
it to
in,
you. Yeah.
and there's other things where they call it farming or something like that.
Ballot harvesting.
Ballot harvesting, that's what it is, where they'll send operatives around to neighborhoods to be like, oh, do you have your mail-in ballots? Like, we'll take them in for you to make sure, you know what I mean? And you don't know what these people are doing with their
Exactly.
ballots,
Exactly.
you know? Or if they say, what if they go to people's houses and be like, oh, do you have your mail-in ballots? Yeah, but we're going to vote in person. Okay, well, we're just collecting ballots for people that aren't using them. You know what I mean? And then they can fill them out.
Yeah.
You know?
And people are naive. Oh, okay.
In Detroit, the Republicans had 40 lawyers challenging absentee mail-in voting, and a local reporter talking to one of the lawyers he knew was told it was a dry run for November. So we've got to have a massive legal operation. I know the Biden campaign is working on that. We have to have poll workers, and I urge people who are able to be a poll worker. We have to have our own teams of people to counter the force of intimidation that the Republicans and Trump are going to put outside polling places. This is a big organizational challenge, but at least we know more about what they're going to do. And you know, Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances, because I think this is going to
She raises her hands.
And eventually, I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch, and if we are as focused and relentless as the other side is.
So she's basically saying that Biden shouldn't concede, even if the election is called for Trump on election day. He shouldn't concede, because what they're going to do is they're going to then say, but wait, we need to wait for mail-in ballots because that's what happened in New York, right? They couldn't, the mail-in ballots were taking too long to come in.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that's going to happen. I just saw an article today talking about Trump could possibly win the Electoral College on election night, but it will be a mirage, because once the mail-in ballots come, all of these states will flip back blue. You know what I mean? So they're setting up this narrative where people will mentally be prepared for this, like when they fight it. Let me show you guys this real quick. Did you guys hear about the war games that they did about the election?
Yeah.
You heard about that?
War
Pull
games?
this up real quick.
A bunch of people got together and played out these different scenarios.
Yeah, so they did, these war games that they do sometimes to play out scenarios with, like, they'll do it with anything, like actual wars or like just political situations. So they did one for the 2020 election, and John Podesta took the place of Joe Biden. We all know who John Podesta is, right?
Yeah.
So basically what happened in this war game, because they play it out like it's the actual election happening. So Trump won the Electoral College in the war game. And what happened was John Podesta, being Joe Biden, did not concede the election, and somehow it went to like a couple states threatening to secede from the nation, and like it went to the Supreme Court, and like all this civil unrest started happening in the war game. Like, this is their plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Let me see if I can find it. But basically, it was talking about, like, Trump winning, the Democrats not willing to secede, and then this chaos and violence erupting in the streets, states seceding from the nation. Like, this is something that they did.
One scenario.
Yeah, it was amongst themselves just to like see how this was all going to play out and how to strategize around it. Because this happened, I forget when this was. I forget when exactly this war game occurred, but I remember seeing it. Yeah, it was a few months ago. And then you started seeing all the mail-in ballot stuff happen. And so you look at that, you look at what Hillary's saying, you look at all the times, how many times have these people been interviewed and you hear them saying like, what do we do if he doesn't accept the election? Hold up, I'm about to pull something else up, John.
Yeah. If he, we're going to have to use the National Guard to get him out of office or something like that.
Yeah.
They're throwing that out there. Like Trump won't leave the White House.
Yeah, he won't leave the White House.
So we're going to have to use the whatever force to get him out. Military.
Whether he knows it yet or not.
They're the ones that saying that they're not.
Exactly. They always.
All right, let's play this again.
Whether he knows it yet or not, he will be leaving. Just because he might not want to move out of the White House doesn't mean we won't have an inauguration ceremony to inaugurate a duly elected president of the United States. And I'm second in line to the presidency, and just last week I had my regular continuation of government briefing. This might interest you because I say to them, this is never going to happen. God willing, it never will. But there is a process. It has nothing to do with if the certain occupant of the White House doesn't feel like moving and has to be fumigated out of there, because the presidency is the presidency. It's not geography or location. So somewhat.
But anyway, they're prepping everybody for this scenario where Trump doesn't accept the election and then has to be removed, But I think that's just planting the seed of like, if it goes to a point where there has to be this debate over who won, they can get everybody on the side of, well, just remove him. You know what I mean? We hate him anyway.
Yeah.
Instead of like really looking at what happened. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what they want.
Paul Homer says, on point, he shouldn't concede even if he legit loses, just like she did. Talking about Hillary.
Yeah. And there's a scenario, too, they were saying that if Trump, whichever side doesn't accept the election and it goes to, January 1st or something, and the ballots still aren't in and counted and all that.
And it goes to the House, right?
It goes back to the House. And it would seem that Nancy would be next in line, but because of how the system is, it goes back to the delegation, and Republicans control more of the delegation than.
Yeah, it's complicated, like the way they have it in place.
Yeah.
Because what happens is if the election isn't clear, which it's lining up to be a mess,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which is why we need to be praying. We need to be like just
praying.
Yeah.
Voting.
Yeah.
Praying.
I mean, that's the key to this.
Yeah.
When you look at it like on paper, when you look at what is being set up, this we don't war against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, might, and dominion. And that's what's really behind it, and we have to pray. We have to fast, pray.
Yeah.
Because this stuff it's crazy what could happen.
Right. Well, what they're setting up.
Yeah.
This is what they're setting up. I'm
But-
telling you. This is what
It is.
Like,
Yeah, but we don't
we
wanna,
can stop it. We can stop it.
we don't want to be. See, I told you so. That's not where we want to be.
No, we want to be. This is what we need to be.
Doing.
Yeah, counteracting.
Yeah.
This is what we need to be battling against.
And that's why, people have to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Because we got to take responsibility. We can't stay silent anymore. And not just to say, this is what they're going to do, but more like we need to pray.
Right.
We need to fast. We need to pray. Because if we don't, you have to take some responsibility for that.
Right. Yeah.
If you're
Christian,
and,
Right.
But even if you're not, you need to be aware of the manipulation that's going on in the world, so that you don't just blindly fall victim to it all the time. Because it's all a game happening right now.
I mean, if you're not, know that they're, understand what's going on and how crazy it can get.
Yeah.
And when it gets that crazy and you're so scared, what are you going to turn to?
Right.
Because that's really the thing. When you look at because there's going to be more stuff that's going to come out that's happening in the government, that's happening behind closed doors, that is going to scare you,
Yeah, when you think about how they're plotting and scheming that on stuff that affects all of our lives from day to day. Like when you think about the fact that how we've been shut down all this time and people losing their jobs and people, not knowing how they're gonna, businesses that had to get shut down, they don't know, even with the rioting, like people's businesses getting shut down, people getting killed, like people, like this stuff is, their decisions that they're making for political gain is affecting people's lives. And it can put you in that place of like fear.
And if you think we can't be like a China where they got, the concentration camps or the what do they call the
Uyghurs?
Re-education camps. But when you hear like what's happening in those camps, like this is what we can have. This can be our reality if you don't take responsibility. What are we gonna just be scared and have no hope? And that's why it's so important. That's why we have like God gives you hope. Jesus, there's hope in Him. Otherwise, what do you have hope in?
What's the point of even talking about this?
What's the point of
what's the point of even shedding light on this? Is it just to constantly be in fear of everything? Like you see all of these quote unquote truth channels on YouTube and where people just become paranoid, like conspiracy theorists, Alex Jones type
even
figures.
Exposing. Like now what?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like now what? Even like in terms of Christians, like exposing stuff, but that's, to me, it's just, that's second heaven.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's stuff where we can go down a trail. And even in terms of like the CIA, what do? They're good at disinformation. You can throw out a lot of information that comes out. Oh, look at this. But it's really not the truth.
Right.
It's just a way to get you thrown off so you can go down another trail. You know?
Right. That's why I find it so funny when people like are so bought into like QAnon and things like that. It's like anytime there's something, who's telling you this, you don't know where this is coming from. You don't know, like, don't just totally be all bought into it, because you don't know who's controlling this. You don't know, this could be a way to this could be just another form of control used on people that want to see certain things happen, want to see pedophiles brought to justice, want to see, they could easily control you just the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's not hard.
Yeah.
Speaking of pedophile, man, that tweet.
You saw that?
That's crazy.
What
you saw that? You didn't see the one I talked about, the prop
the 3 laws?
SB 145 in California?
Yeah, I saw that.
That can't be true.
No, it's true.
That's true?
It's true. It's 100% true.
But it's based off of the fact of they already had a law.
Yes, it's already based off of a crazy law to begin with.
Right.
So now you have, in the name of equality, you have to amend.
Explain it, because, some people don't know.
So SB 145 is a proposition that just passed in California where it made it a less of an offense to sexually assault a minor
under the age of 10.
No, not under the age of 10.
10 years.
Within 10 years of your age.
10 years of your age.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it could be, if you're 19, it could be under the age of 10. You know what I mean? It was only for vaginal sex. So it was like, if you, and they were 10 years within your age, be labeled as a sex offender. Like, it still was illegal, but it was up to the judge whether or not you had to register as a sex offender or $15. Or anal or oral, because they were protecting, young boys who were being raped by,
Yes.
But now this prop SB 145 made it equal unethical for anal sex, a minor up to 10 discretion. If 15-year-old kid rapes a 5-year-old, but it's consensual somehow, you know.
And these are like the nonsensical laws that can you put one on top of the other on top of the other because it's all depravity, you know. And these are the type of laws that go into place when you have people who are depraved,
right?
You know,
because the clip that I saw was of like a homosexual dude who was like went up there and spoke about it like this is great for equality because you know the law was discriminating against homosexual sex for young men basically, you know what I mean? Which, okay, if you're gonna make it if you're gonna make it an okay thing for heterosexual sex with minors, you then what do you do next? You have to make it okay.
And it's the same thing that's going on. Like, you know, where do you draw the line? Homosexual, transvestite, or transsexual, transgender, whatever you call it. And
you're offending.
Now you're a dog,
right?
You know, like there's no bounds.
Yeah, there's furries, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing, furries.
Or a deer person.
Yeah.
At the
Paul commented again. He said exactly. It's all about narrative control. It's a setup. I think he was talking still about politics when we were back on that.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
But yeah, those when I saw that, and then there was other things that got passed yesterday too. I forget what they were. We can bring them up real quick. Where is it?
Do do do.
What'd you say over there, John? Hey, you got a mic now, man.
Here we go. Got it. Okay, so SB 132, giving male inmates legal right to live in women's prisons if they claim a feminine gender identity. Introduced by Senator Scott Wiener.
You're a wiener.
Come on, man. You can't make this. You can't make this stuff up, man. Okay, SB 1237 and AB 890 allows non-physicians to do trimester surgical and medical abortions. The bill also removes requirements that such procedures be supervised by a doctor. So you can get, what is this, outpatient abortions?
Yeah.
In the was it the third trimester?
First
trimester. There are concerns that these bills threaten women's safety and the lives of unborn children. You think? Yeah. So
who introduced that one? Does it say?
Doesn't say.
California, man.
Cali. John just got out of there. He just got out of there. Look at his face.
What? Yeah.
It's nice weather. I was gonna say that.
The weather's amazing. That's why it.
But a lot of people are starting to see this in California.
All the crazy people.
A lot of people are starting to recognize.
Yeah,
this
that's
in
why.
California.
But their tactic is, I'm getting out of here. Yeah. That's what they're doing.
I think there's people who are starting to stand up, and
I think so.
There's gotta be. You can't get out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless they crush you with
you gotta stand. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So Paul says, right on, fellas. Glad to see y'all are wide awake. Seeing y'all rap on these issues give me a lot of hope. That's what's up, man.
Thanks, bro.
That's why we're doing this, because, we're all friends. We've been friends forever, just regular dudes. But we've being on this page, like we started researching this stuff years ago. How many years ago we used to sit up in the studio just watching like the founding of America and like and like those videos about like all the secret stuff that we had no idea about. You know,
It's been over a decade.
yeah, not even like talking about 9/11 stuff. Just like, you know, the whole Freemason. You know, every president being a Freemason, and like just like the founding of Washington D.C. and all of the occult imagery and all that stuff that we didn't realize was even a thing. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so speaking of occult and all of that, let's get into this
Transition.
Black Lives Matter thing. So you got some videos here that you sent, and give us a quick synopsis of what we're about to watch.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people know about Black Lives Matters being a Marxist organization.
A lot of people don't know.
They don't know. Yeah.
Well, and they also believe in like, what do you say, deconstruction of the family?
Well, they say, total deconstruction of the nuclear family.
Nuclear family. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And it's quote unquote, they call themselves a Marxist.
Yeah.
well, they
The
definitely
leaders.
They are.
the leader has said that she's trained Marxist.
A trained Marxist.
Yeah.
But it goes deeper. So that's what this is about. And it has to do with these clips go into the spiritual aspect and where they're coming from spiritually. So just to get people to understand, like, this is what's behind what they're doing. And a lot of things like this, because people think it's just quote unquote political,
Right.
or just
movement.
justice,
Right.
or social stuff,
justice, equality.
or even just social networking.
Right.
But it's not. It's deeper. I mean, even if you don't know, everything has a spiritual aspect.
Right.
Even if we're not aware of it, it's still spiritual. But people are intently being spiritual with it, and we'll go into detail.
So you want me to start this?
Yeah.
Just start with the top video,
Yep.
right? Okay. Hold on, let me bring
So I
this.
came across this, and it was very interesting.
Founders, they're trained in more than Marxism.
We started over. First of all, I have to just say that I'm glad this is a black dude. Because I was worried when you told me about this earlier that it was going to be some like white dude breaking down why Black Lives Matter. And then they would just
He's funny too, because
Okay.
he reminds me of somebody.
His name's Abraham. Okay.
I want you to know that the BLM organization,
Turn it up a little bit, John.
they're trained in more than Marxism.
It's the last channel. The last channel.
Who's he remind you of?
I'll
He
explain
reminds
it
me of somebody, but I couldn't.
Nita's
I couldn't wait when I was watching
that
it.
they explain it themselves.
That's Nita's pop.
Let me get this.
As a young.
Patrice Cullors, the one you just heard.
Turn
there
up the
say
gain on the last channel.
Wait,
No, the last white knob.
that she's a trained Marxist.
Yeah.
And that she and other BLM co-founders are trained Marxists. She says, quote, there are many spiritualities. Sorry, she said, quote, I'm calling for spirituality to be deeply radical. We're not just having a social justice movement. This is a spiritual movement. Oh, end quote. Spiritual movement. What does she mean by that? I'm so glad you asked. I'll start in all of the audio I'm about to share with you now. Well, I see the disrespectful clock, so this is going to carry over to the next segment. Is a Zoom-like conversation between two women. One of them is named Dr. Melina Abdullah, that she is a professor of African Studies at California State University, Los Angeles. She's having a Zoom-type conversation with Patrice Cullors. Let me welcome you into their little conversation where she admits, maybe I'm saying too much. Listen to Dr. Melina Abdullah, who's also, in addition to being a professor at California State University, Los Angeles, she's also the founder of the BLM Los Angeles chapter of the organization. Please play
so they're both in it.
clip.
Yeah.
Clip number one.
Maybe I'm sharing too much, but we become very intimate with the spirits that we call on regularly, right? Like each of them seems to have a different presence and personality. You know, I laugh a lot with Waukesha, you know, and I didn't meet her in her body, right? I met her through this work.
Look at his
Oh, Lord.
face.
She said she laughs a lot with Waukesha. who she didn't meet in her body. So where'd you meet? You laughing with Waukesha, where did y'all meet? You're going to find that Dr. Abdullah and Patrice Cullors talks about summoning the spirits of the dead, using the power of the spirits of the dead in order to give them the ability to do what they're calling the so-called justice work. You're going to find that what they're describing is their adherence to the Yoruba religion of Ifa or Ifa, to where they are summoning dead spirits. If you think I'm laughing, because you might have heard many people saying, oh, you're making all of this noise about Black Lives Matter. It's just a hashtag. Oh, really? Listen to clip number 4. This is Patrice Cullors.
It's a very important practice. Hashtags are, for us, are way more than a hashtag. It is literally almost resurrecting a spirit so they can work through us to get the work that we need to get done. I started to feel personally connected and responsible and accountable to them, both from a deeply political place, but also from a deeply spiritual place. And always, you know, in my tradition, you offer things that your loved one who passed away would want, you know, whether it's like honey or tobacco, things like that. And it's so important, not just for us to be in direct relationship to our people who've passed, but also for them to know we've remembered them. I believe so many of them work through us.
Now, in case you're wondering who that is speaking, that is Patrice Cullors, co-founder of the Black Lives Matter organization, the same one you just heard saying we are trained Marxists. She is describing that, oh, you thought it was just a hashtag.
Yep.
It's more than hashtags. We are summoning our people from the dead. She said, in our tradition. What tradition is that? When you offer things to people, and as a result of summoning them so frequently,
hold on,
go ahead.
No, that when I watched that earlier, it just reminded me of just, you know, Cambodians. Most of them are Buddhists. I kind of grew up in that. If you go into a Cambodian house, they'll light incense and stuff like that, and they'll have, you know, like a plate of fruit, or a pack of cigarettes in there to offer it.
Because everyone knows spirits like cigarettes.
They like smoking cigarettes,
but
and they like
it
eating.
stems from something, and we're gonna get into that. But I want to like kind of go into the rest of his stuff because.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yo, but this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I never heard of this. Like the fact that they're literally like talking about voodoo right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's continue.
And to develop a relationship where I become close with them. See, you thought it was just a hashtag. How many of the people that are turning out for these rallies, these marches, how many of them do you think know that it's more than a hashtag? Oh, don't go anywhere. There's more. There is more. There is more. She is describing their adherence to the Yoruba religion called Odu Ifa. O-D-U-I-F-A. That one of the touchstones of this religious practice is ancestral worship. Guess what the Bible calls?
So, real quick, there's been a huge movement right now. There's been a huge push right now. And you see it. We talked about it with the Black is King thing. You see it with like a lot of the people that we know that are like getting caught up into this Yoruba Udu Ifa thing that he's talking about. Like this is becoming.
He mentions Black is King.
Black people are being seduced into that, back into that.
Yeah.
And this is something that we need to be targeted with. We need to be praying against, and we need to be. This is why you're shedding light on this, because it's being veiled under the emotion and the hurt of injustice.
Right, because the hurt, people like the hurt is real. You know, like even if it's ancestral, like it's generational, I should say, it's real. But so it has to be dealt with. You know, like, and that's one thing with America. Like, I think we're at that point where. You gotta, like, you can't just say, slavery was, 200 years ago, get over it.
Right.
Like, no, you have to deal with it.
It has to be dealt with.
And there has to be an amends. But but it's spiritual like anything else, you know. And you see, just like children, you know, when you grow up, you get triggered from things when you were a kid, from the traumas you go through. It's the same thing. So when you grow up in this trauma, and we know because, you know, Stan, you're a black man. Me and Jamie are half black, and you know, we dealt with it in different ways, but you know, just hearing.
Speak for yourself, brother. I'm all black.
Right.
Don't you see? Can't you see?
And I've been drafted.
Why are you not going to my camera? Why are you going to the wine shop? You going to everybody? I wanted to go to my camera so they could see how black I am. Because I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all.
Okay.
On camera, you look kind of white.
But the point is that stuff it's real. Like, you can go through these realities, right? You can go through these things. But that doesn't mean that that's the ultimate truth. Like, just like people say my truth,
Right.
like, that doesn't mean it has to be your truth. And that's something that, like, these religions, they want to give you back your identity because of your hurt. You know, oh, you've been through this, you know, and that's we were talking about this with the Pan God, and a lot of this stuff, it stems from there, you know, and we'll go into a little bit more, but it's all about like seduction based off of your hurt and what you've been through and the trauma you've been through, and using that to draw you in, you know, just like a child, because it's the places where we've been traumatized are the places where we haven't grown up.
Right.
You know what I mean? We haven't. We're still stuck in that childlike. Like, when we all deal with it, and through God, that's how He grows us up. Like, we learn how to. He deals with that thing, shows us where we're at as a child. That's why we come. You got to come as a child.
I was talking to somebody about this. Like, a lot of the problem with videos like WAP, or a lot of the problem with like the stuff that we grew up with, the content that we grew up with, is that when you're exposed to certain things and you literally get traumatized by those things in a subtle way where you can get stuck there, and you see people live their entire lives in the mentality that they were in when they saw the first, you know, BET Uncut video. You know what I'm saying? It's like it stuck them in that moment, and they can't get past it.
Because it's a desire, but it's also like it's fulfilling something where they're lacking. And that's the point. Like, you want to fulfill something because you're lacking.
Right.
But you're never really going to be fulfilled, and that's the lie. And especially with this stuff, like, so now it's like a constant, you're fulfilling something, you're trying to eat, but you're always hungry.
It's
you
that
never get
high
full.
that you never get back to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trying to reach
Yep.
that high.
That's what people, like heroin addicts, they always say that. I've
Chasing
heard
that
so many of them
high.
say that, like, that first high, you're always chasing it, and you never can get it back. You can never get it back, because that first time is your body's never experienced that before.
Yeah.
You know, and the tolerance in ourselves, like, that's how resilient our bodies are. Like, they become tolerant to even drugs. You know what I mean? But anyway, all right. So let's go to clip number 2 on this journey. Hold on, because the volume.
Not only trained in Marxism, in which, by the way, if you don't know this, Marx himself was a pagan Satanist. So they ain't really that far off.
Not only that, he was
Get him. Oh, okay.
Yeah, dude. He was a devout racist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he was an overt racist. And
why they cancel him?
They love him.
I mean, but doesn't that go along with the Satanist thing? Like, when you really think about it, because you're reverting back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of these people who are doing this stuff, they're going back to their cultures. They're bringing more separation, you know? So you're going to be looking at everybody else and judging everybody else to the nth degree. You're judging people, your friends. Like, everybody's out to get you.
Damn, my phone died. All right.
Saying they're trained Marxists and dabbling in a bit of witchcraft. And they wanted you to believe early on that it was just a hashtag.
What
But
up,
if you
Mike?
thought that what it was, that's what it was. Patrice Cullors disabused you of that notion rather quickly. Let's play that audio again where she said, no, it's not just hashtags. We're resurrecting spirits so they can work through us. It's clip number 4.
It's a very important practice. Hashtags are, for us, are way more than a hashtag. It is literally almost resurrecting a spirit so they can work through us to get the work that we need to get done. I started to feel personally connected and responsible and accountable to them, both from a deeply
and
political
accountable
place, but also from a deeply
responsible and accountable to the spirits that she was conjuring.
Yeah, that's key.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you're enslaved.
I want to say quick what up to Mike Walker because he's my blackety black brother that feels me on the light skinned black thing. That's why I think that's why he was laughing on it.
spiritual place, and always, you know, in my tradition, you offer things that your loved one who passed away would want. You know, whether it's like honey or tobacco, things like that, and it's so important, not just for us to be in direct relationship to our people who've passed, but also for them to know we've remembered them. I believe so many of them work through us.
So many of them work through us. To remind you, this is a Zoom-style conversation between Dr. Melina Abdullah and Patrice Cullors. Now I want you to listen to Melina Abdullah, where she describes what happens when they gather. It's clip number 2.
When we come out into the streets and we pray, you know, the first thing that we do when we hear of a murder is we come out, we pray, we pour a libation, we build with the community where the person's life was stolen.
All witchcraft. So.
And it took almost a year for me to realize that
Jesus'
this movement is much more than a racial and social justice movement. At its core, it's a spiritual movement because we're literally standing on spilled blood, right?
Yeah.
And you can't pretend like that's work that's just like some organizing work. That's, you know, that's some serious stuff, right?
You can't pretend it's some organizing work. But wait, I thought they were just community organizing. That's what you thought.
Okay.
So real quick with the bloodshed. So this is dealt with in the Bible, like specifically, you know, in the Old Testament, in the law, when that blood, especially innocent blood, is shed, it has to be atoned for.
Right.
Right. Now what they're doing, because the demonic becomes stronger. And that's the problem. The demonic gets stronger, and they're feeding off of that.
Right.
Right. They're using that as their vindication, their vengeance.
Right.
Right. They're feeding off of that demonic thing. Right. There's a whole nother thing when innocent bloodshed gets spilled, and this has happened. Like we're in Camden right now. Right. For us, we've prayed through Camden. When we did this for years. When somebody got shot, you go to that area, you pray over that area, because you got to cover the bloodshed so that it doesn't strengthen the demonic hold in that area.
Right.
We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, might, dominion. So there's but so there's keys here that we have to pay attention to, because people are taking, if you don't take responsibility, what did she say? I felt responsibility and accountability to these spirits.
Right.
So she calls them ancestors, and that's a little off, but we'll explain why. But the problem with this, and I guess we can kind of go into it a little bit. This stems from, it goes all the way back into the Bible.
Yep.
this whole ancestry thing, right? Well, he talks about it, so I'll wait for him to like kind of break it down so we can go into it deeper.
All right, so I'm going to clip 3 now.
Just know that they take some truth and twist it.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about in the past like our theory about the hurricanes.
Yeah.
And the path of the hurricanes every year.
Yep.
And like why they take that path.
And through Africa and the slave ships,
the slave
and
trade,
all
those dead bodies,
all the
the innocent bloodshed there
Right.
that's never been atoned for, never been prayed for.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's something we did in Jersey. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's we won't go into that.
Yeah. All right, let's play this next clip.
But wait, there's more. Clip 3.
When we say the names, right? So we speak their names, we say her name, say their names. We do that all the time. That you kind of invoke that spirit, and then those spirits actually become present with you.
That's why they
Did y'all hear
force
that?
them to say their name.
You see it all the time, right?
When
say their name.
They were
Say
talking to
their
Rand
name.
Paul when they came up on Rand Paul. Say their name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Breonna Taylor.
Hashtag say their name.
Say
you
my
know?
name. Say my name.
Say my name. Say my.
You know what I thought about? You know what I thought about? the movie you were talking about earlier.
Oh, Never Ending Story.
Yeah.
Say my name,
Yeah.
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Say my name.
That's what I thought about.
Yo, they crazy.
Let's keep playing.
Now y'all see all of this, the NBA, all on the jersey, say her name. They're not doing what you think they're doing. You think they're just honoring people. They are conjuring up spirits. There's one particular rally that Dr. Abdullah was conducting in where she repeatedly required, and I'm not going to say the phrase that she used, but would require the audience in a call and response type fashion to chant a name, and then she would respond with a Yoruba phrase. See, in this particular religion, and as I understand it, it includes an ethnicity, a religion, and a language. But I'm talking about the religious aspects of it, to where there's a supreme pagan deity. Then beneath them, there's a pantheon of pagan deities called Orishas. And this is the same demonic activity, by the way, that Beyonce is channeling on that Black is King thing that
Yo, I
Disney's put
said
out,
that same
by the
thing
way.
to you.
The exact same thing. Coincidence?
I think
And
not.
then at the supreme deity, then the Orishas, and then beneath the Orishas, you have the next level of deities called the ancestors, the Egun. And these people really believe that the names of the folks that they are saying have become ancestral gods.
Okay, now let's
That they are summoning
let's work on that.
when they
Hold on,
require
there's only like 2
the
seconds
attendees at these marches and these rallies to say their name.
Boom. Okay.
Okay, so now the deafs, ancestors, why would they do that? This goes back to the Bible. This goes back to what was being done back then. This is about the fallen angels, right?
Mhm.
You have Satan, you have the fallen angels. This is their pantheon, right? But then under that, you have the lesser gods. These are the giants, or because they had sex with the angels, humans having sex with angels, giants.
Gave birth to giants.
These giants had powers of angelic powers. They were strong. They were mentally. They had a greater mental capacity, and they were. So these were the actual worshiping of the ancestors that they did. This is where it all stems from, right? So they were. Even back then, you had the Amorites who were big on this. This is where a lot of it stems from. They were the ones who were, and they were Canaanites. They were in the land of Canaan when the Hebrews came in.
But even calling yourself a Canaanite is worshiping the fact that you're a child of Cain, right?
Who was cursed.
Right.
Right. And they even made covenant with these entities to gain authority.
Right.
Right. So to gain authority.
Right.
So look at what they're doing. They were the ones who started Babylon, right? The Amorites. So a lot of this stems from there, and it was like adopted into other places, right? Into Africa, all the way to Cambodia. You know, all these these places all over, they kind of do the same things because it stems from the land of Canaan. It stems from where it all started at. Nephilim, angels, and it's in the Bible, but you got to really be able to see it. You know, we can go through the chapters, but for what?
Yeah.
But
and it's also in the Book of Enoch, which was conveniently left out of the Bible by.
If you want to know, email. We'll send you the book.
It's in the Book of Enoch, but research this stuff. Deuteronomy 32 is a good one. There's a lot. Genesis 6, of course.
6, yeah.
But these entities were what people were worshiping so that they could get power from them, right? And when you remember them, like there was more detail that they went into to remember them, right? They're just tapping in a little bit,
right?
But they're still tapping in. And so when somebody dies, right, Breonna Taylor, and they say my name, what are they doing? They are tapping into the spirit behind the death. It's not the person. It's behind the death of the person, the one who laid victim, the victimizer, which is actually the spirit. Because even the whole thing, how it happened, there's always, even if it was the cop that happened, we don't war against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, might, and dominion. So if you don't understand this, you're going to look at the person and be mad at the person, but it's really what's behind the person. And then the victim of that is a victim of the spirit behind the person. So now you're under that thing. So when you want vindication through that, you're just tapping into the spirit behind it. You can't come out of that spirit that's behind that thing. You're stuck there. Right? And now you're being empowered by that same spirit. There's no way that you're just going in a cycle.
Right.
And that's the problem. There's no way out, right? If you're a victim, you're just going to be, you become a victim. Simple. You get molested, usually you become a molester.
Right.
I mean, 10% of people molested become molesters. Become victims, have issues, which are a greater percentage. But the problem is, if you are a molester, you can take that and become a molester, right? So now you just continue in that. Even if you don't become a molester, you can hold on to what was happened to you, and you move in that, and you act in that. And the way you encounter the world is in that.
Through that.
It's through that. You perceive the world through the way you were victimized, right? And the only way to come out of that... What happened?
I just got it. Paul Homer says Enoch email. he wants that Enoch email. And then La Anthony says, "Hey guys, a very interesting topic tonight. I'm glad I'm watching, but I didn't see from the beginning. Hey, you can always catch it back. You can always go back and catch it later. Listen, we'll hit you up with an email. Send us a direct message with your email. We'll send you the Book of Enoch. We'll send you an awesome video on it too.
Yeah. So
I just uploaded.
So just to understand a little bit, giants had sex with women. The giants were killed in the flood, right?
Right.
But there was still some stuff that happened after the flood. You had the whole Babylon thing. But when these giants were killed, they're not human. They're not angels. They're something that's
in between.
They're in between. So these are but
they're an abomination to
they're
God.
An abomination. These are the evil spirits. These are the demons that are now tormenting people.
Right.
Yeah. That
this
roam
is
the
all
earth.
in the Bible.
Yeah.
Right.
And they have knowledge.
Right.
Yeah, and they have knowledge.
Yeah.
They were very smart, you know. They weren't just dumb giants. They were actually really, really smart giants. There was a lot of, when you go back, like Ancient Aliens kind of twist all this stuff for its own thing, but it actually goes back to the angels.
Building of the pyramids, all of these megalithic structures that were built.
Yeah.
All of these things, yeah.
So this is how you rule an area, right? It's through this. And if you don't atone for it, that's why there were all these rules. That's why they had all these laws. They had the law in the Hebrew Bible, in the Torah, so that you could deal with these things, right?
Well, the law was set up to keep a set of human beings pure, so that Jesus could come through.
Come
their
through
blood,
eventually,
right? Because
to actually redeem them from
right, because
it all.
once humans had been corrupted, but genetically,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. There had to be a lineage of pure bloodline to bring
right.
someone.
And
through.
even when you look at like Noah,
Yeah.
it's when it says all flesh was corrupted, it means genetically corrupted. It's
Right.
not like through sins.
Right,
All-
right.
No, he was like the
he
last.
was one of the last people that wasn't corrupted.
Right. Genetically. Right. So it goes deeper. And when you don't understand that, you just think that the Bible is just some genocidal thing. But no, there's actually a lot of stuff that's going on there.
That's why
that-
certain tribes, God would tell them to go in and wipe them out.
Right. Because they were tapped into some crazy stuff.
Right.
You know, and they were creating giants themselves. They
Right.
were trying to conjure this stuff back up.
Mm-hmm.
And the Canaanites, it stems from the Canaanites and the curse of Canaan. And that's a whole nother thing that we won't get into. But this stuff spread throughout the world because it was an easy way in. It's an easy access in gaining authority, gaining some kind of power over your enemies. Think about it. Like when you look at the Greeks, there was a story I was watching. I forget who it was, but the guy killed one of the kings of one of the Greek, I think it was Athens. He kills his daughter to the priest tells him he's going to have to kill his daughter to win this battle. Right? So these are the gods that they serve, right? You have to do these things in order to gain this power. Right? There's always something you have to do to gain this power in order to get a back door. It's almost like a back door,
It's a cheat code. Yeah.
Right? In order to win. And that's literally like,
dude, one time I was telling Jake about this. Like, I had this whole vision of this entire universe world that God created being like he literally told me like the simulation theory is not as off as you think, but it's a metaphor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So there is people that try to create these cheat codes to tap into certain powers and certain like ways to win. You know what I mean?
Right. And it goes back to these watchers or these fallen angels, because when you think about it, these watchers were given certain abilities, or they were given, I don't know, certain powers,
right,
to keep the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they were watching over the world.
They were moderators.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Moderators, right, in a way.
Right,
and they had certain powers into how the world was designed,
right,
so that they could keep watch. And what they did was
governors,
or coders.
Facebook.
You know what I mean?
But see, it's the same thing. Like when you look at, like they were supposed to be servants,
right?
But they took it and they said, I can
lord
take
over
this power
with this.
and I can lord over them.
And then they will worship us as gods.
Right, and that's what happened.
Right.
And they had these giants. They were bloodthirsty giants because of what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to destroy the whole earth, you know, so they had to have the flood, which was like a cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see it start over again with Nimrod
Mm-hmm.
and
the
Tower of Babel.
Yeah. Even Sodom and Gomorrah, all of that, like,
yeah,
what was going
like
on?
What
there?
the whole? Why were they trying to have sex with those angels?
Right.
Because they knew they already knew the story. They knew
Right.
what can come
Right.
from that. They knew they wanted a back door.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted it in.
They wanted a cheat code.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What you talked about? Ham's
Ham, yeah.
cheat code. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where he tried to have sex with Noah's wife so that he could take the lineage, so he could take the heritage for himself. You know what I mean?
But then his son became cursed.
Right.
And he was supposed to be the servant of servants.
Right.
He was supposed to serve both of the other brothers' kin or
Right.
children.
Right.
But what happened was Canaan took the cheat code. Canaan, okay, there was a mountain that these fallen angels ascended or descended upon,
Mm-hmm.
which is called Mount Hermon, and it's like right above Israel. It's like
Right.
Syria and Turkey area. And the Canaanites, especially the Amorites, they, where do you think they went? They went all around this area, right? Around this mountain to try to receive what was going on. There's stuff about Bashan.
And that's where the Pan's Labyrinth.
That's where Pan's Labyrinth. Right. Well, that's where the gates of hell that Jesus talks about. Right. He went there and he said the gates of hell won't prevail against the church.
Right.
Those are the gates of hell. They had the Pan temple of Pan. Yeah.
But I've heard that Pan's Labyrinth was Pan's temple, like the temple of Pan.
Yeah, I don't know.
I saw something about that, but anyway, do you want to continue with this?
Yeah.
So we got one more.
One more.
Yeah.
Lie Anthony said, "I'd like that email too."
Listen to
Enoch.
I have more audio for you. Listen to this. As Patrice Cullors described
Adam Fields said Mount
this type
Hermon.
of spirituality
He know what time it is.
Of the
All right,
BLM
let's take it
movement.
back again.
I have more audio for you. Listen to this. As Patrice Cullors describes that this type of spirituality is at the center of the BLM movement. Clip number 6.
Spirituality is at the center of Black Lives Matter. And I think that's not just for us. I feel like so many leaders and so many organizers are deeply engaged in a pretty important spiritual practice. I don't think I could do this work without that. I don't think I could do it as long as I've done it and as consistently. It feels like if I didn't do that, it would be antithetical to this work.
Patrice Cullors is saying if she did not include these Ifa spiritual practices in the Black Lives Matter work that she's doing, it would be antithetical for her not to do it. Y'all can get mad at me if you want, but I'm just going to tell it like it T.I. is. Y'all think these people are playing with these chants and these chanting and things? When the Apostle Paul said that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness. But against spiritual wickedness, this is what he was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you look at where our family, some of our family are from Puerto Rico, and they dabbled in Santeria. You have different versions of that throughout the Caribbean, even into Mexico. They have a different version.
New Orleans.
Brazil, they have a different version. Their god called Orisha, which he was talking about, they call it Yamanja, but it's the same type of entity.
Jumanji?
Santeria, they take the saints and they couple them with those Orisha gods, and then ancestors under that. And then you have voodoo, Haiti and New Orleans. But this all comes from Africa. This all comes from Yoruba, but it stems from, again, the Bible. Not the Bible, but it stems from what was going on at that time. It stems from the Amorites, the Canaanites, what they were into. And so that's what you're tapping into when you're dealing with this. This is an ancient thing. It's the same thing that's going on over and over again. And this is the thing that we're dealing with. So you can blindly, Black Lives Matter and go on and do the hashtags and everything, but we're tapping into something that is going beyond our conscious, and that's how they want it. Like they don't want. That's why they're. This isn't like he had to go and search for this stuff to really find it.
And he pointed out that they said like maybe we've said too much.
Right.
Because they don't want you to know that this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
They want you to keep following along under the guise of
Black Lives
just that one phrase. And that's why they always try to find this catchphrase that can veil everything else, because if you can just agree with Black Lives Matter, you don't really understand that you're agreeing with everything they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you won't question it.
Right, you won't question it because of course Black Lives Matter.
It's an innocent phrase.
Of course we don't want black people being killed by police. Of course we don't want the inequality. You know what I mean?
And the point of it is, it's all about the intent of our hearts, you know, and what really matters is what matters to God. And we don't, so all of that other stuff doesn't matter. And if you're, so the point I want to say, like, and people use this in church, religion, it's that was the issue of Jesus's time. It's always about trying to get you to reason something out, like get you caught up in something. Something guy said to me, like it's about proving. The prosecutor has to prove intent, right? So who's the prosecutor? It's the devil. It's Satan. So he's always going to try to prove what your intent is, so you can always be second guessing yourself. You know, catch you back under the law. In 1 Corinthians 15, I think it's like 50 something, 57 or 6. It says that sin gets its power basically from the law, right? Because it's under the law and it can be used. So we're always pointing to the law and stuck under it. Like, what does this mean? This is the thing where we can be stuck, where we won't move, right? You know, should we get married if I'm already divorced? Like, well, what do we do? What do we do with this? The political stuff that's going on. Well, should we be fighting against it? Should we be fighting against it, or should we just be following the rules? You know, this is a lot of the stuff that people get caught, that the enemy, the devil, wants to get you stuck under, where you're always second guessing yourself, when really the true intent of everything is in heavenly places in Jesus, seated at the right hand of him. So what does the enemy want to do? He wants to get in between you and that thing. And that's what's happening in America. That's what's happening in this country. There's trying to hold on to the they want to be your mediator. You know, they want to be your mediator. They want to be in between you and what real truth is.
Is this what you were talking about here?
The sting of death is sin. The power of sin is in the law. Yes. Okay. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Jamie's on it.
The sting of death. And the funny part is, like, right before that, it talks about how
the devil, not God.
But God. See, that's what they're doing. Like, with what she's saying, what is she doing? She's being a mediator, right? She's supposed to be serving, right? A true servant or a mediator, which is ultimately Jesus, and we're just with him in it. We're actually with him in it as we trust in him. But people who put themselves in that place, right, and we allow them to be in that place, they're gonna try to lord over us with causes, or you should feel this way about something, or you should feel that way, or yeah, that's easy, right? Do you believe Black Lives Matter? Like, if I'm telling Stan, dude, I'm black. I believe my life.
Hold on. Right. Adam Field says, wow, man, there's no new thing under the sun. They can't hide anymore. It's all being uncovered. Media equals Greek goddess of illusion.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. A lot of people are putting that together.
Yep.
That's a lot of people are putting that together, that's literally a god. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it wants to be our mediator. Like, so Jesus is the mediator, but it wants to be our mediator, to where we're looking towards it for the answers. But he's the solution to everything. But it doesn't want you to, it wants you to second guess those things, right? That's why we believe, like, a lot of Christians will say, yeah, I believe that Jesus is, you know, the savior of my life, and I believe he died for my sins. But a lot of times that's all it goes. That's as far as it goes. Because that's the little bit of faith you have, and really that's not even faith. You know, we have to, it's about that faith that made us even see that grow. That's the thing. It has to grow, and it has to be birthed, and it has to come out. It's like Mary. It has to come. Mary she got the word, right? But then had to become, it was conceived in her, but then Jesus, Yeshua, salvation, had to go through her. She was covered by Joseph, but she had to birth it out of herself, right? If she got caught up in accusations by the law says that, how'd you have that baby? How'd you get conceived? You're not even married yet. Or you're married, but you haven't consummated that marriage. So wait, what happened here? Baby. So now you can be attacked by the law. And it's funny because the very word that's in her is the fulfillment of that law. And it's the same thing with us. The very word that's in us is the fulfillment of that law, but it's got to be rooted in us, right? Or else we're going to be scared, afraid, second guessing ourselves, and we can never overcome anything. And that's where the devil wants us. And when you allow things like these Black Lives Matter things, these Antifa things to just be around us, and you're not dealing with it spiritually, you don't go out there and fight it, of course, but you're not dealing with it spiritually.
Yeah,
we're a part of the problem. You know, we're allowing it to. We're not being accountable, and we're allowing it to happen.
I find it interesting that like anytime your emotions are leading you, you're probably being led.
It should be a check.
You know what I'm saying? Like that should be something in you that says like, wait a minute, let me stop for a second, because.
But even on the other end, like there's both ends, because you can have like your logic leading you. You know,
your reason.
Like, well, let me
analyze this to
Like even in the Bible, let me go to the Greek and you know, let me. And it become, you have to know the intent of the heart with everything, right? Or else you prejudge it. You prejudge people, you prejudge the situation. What is the intent behind God's heart in all of this? And it's found in Jesus. That's what the enemy doesn't want us to do, because then he proves intent on us, you know, in our actions. Because proven intent is about, why did they shoot that person? Like, did they mean to, or they actually, you got to prove intent. You know what I mean? You got to prove that you don't have a right to have what he says you have a right to have, to keep you from it. And that's what happens. We don't think it's possible. You know, we don't think that, oh, that's just some craziness. Like what we're talking, a lot of people can think it's crazy. You know, because it's not real to them.
A lot of people do.
A lot of people do.
Well, that's fine, you know.
Yeah, you'll wake up. Or maybe you won't.
I mean, but even so, we have the ability to pray for them and cover people. And
go on.
What happened? Oh, it's dead too.
We lost all the phones.
I still got Paul Horner chimed in. He touched on something that we talked about before.
What did he say?
If you check out the BLM website, you can see that they don't even mention black men. They start off with trans, etc. On a related note, the whole trans agenda is a precursor to transhumanism, which is related to the Nephilim.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We talked about
We've talked about that
a few weeks ago.
I don't know, like, we don't do a good job of categorizing our videos or finding clips or anything. But if you go back and watch some of our other streams, you will see that we've talked about that. Like the whole transhumanism movement is something that you see. Again, they're constantly sprinkling these ideas out there, because the more and more you accept these ideas, the more and more you usher in that ruling over you. Yeah. You accept it. Yeah. You take it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Blur them,
and on the other side, like on the like religious Christian side, like everybody's always trying to look for the Antichrist. Yeah. You know, like, oh, this is the end. But I don't think that's what we should be doing.
I don't think so either.
There's possibilities, like we actually hold off the Antichrist. We actually hold off destruction. You know, that's the point. Like, if you believe that God is a loving God, does he want people to go through this stuff that we're going through? No. But people, we got to take responsibility. We have to agree with him. If we don't agree with him, then it happens. So it's really about us. If it's happening, then maybe we need to actually turn to God.
Right.
And actually,
It's about the intent, like you said.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What is your intent? Is your intent every day to get rich? Is your intent every day to find a bad
to make yourself feel good that you're okay?
Yeah. Through how many vaginas you get. You know what I mean?
Or even just like your family's good, you're good,
right,
like just to make yourself feel okay.
I'm doing so many traps. There's so many.
Depressed. He was taking too much credit. Hey.
Check.
Check. Are we good?
Check.
Is the stream there?
Good.
Are we good, guys? Somebody let us know.
Yeah, I think we're good. We weren't getting levels from the mixer for some reason. The audio went down, but we're back.
So yeah, when you're talking about stuff like this, what happens? You get attacked a little bit. Cool. So we're good.
Talk about transhumanism and them AIs. Them AIs come for your neck, bro.
Yeah. So we break that right now in Jesus' name, because this is what we're talking about.
Crazy.
We're dealing with spiritual things, and you deal with spiritual things, they try to come at you. But we're in a amazing time right now, guys, and there's amazing opportunities and possibilities.
Yep.
And we just gotta keep believing, hoping, with faith. You know what I mean? Because faith without works is dead. So keep believing, trusting, praying, seeking, and
listen.
What'd you say?
Listen.
Yeah, listening.
Yeah, and remember, guys, like everybody that's watching right now, Paul, Adam, you guys seem new. We haven't seen you guys here before, so we appreciate.
Well, Adam's my friend. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man. Make sure you guys subscribe and let people know about this. Let's do a song real quick. I've been feeling like we need to do "Who Am I."
Okay.
Because of
yeah.
what's been going on.
All right, cool.
Stan, you can join in as much as you want.
Is Adam from Prophetic Hub?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want to read a comment. Carolyn Stahl said, "You fellas need to make an album of hymns. Your harmonies will be gorgeous and sung with sincerity."
Listen, we believe our music is hymns. We believe all of our music is inspired by God. So we're going to do a song right now. Are you getting this?
Stan,
My phone's dead. So
you can hit the low note.
Mike says start it off, Stan. Are you guys hearing the guitar?
You hearing the guitar?
Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, I hear it a little bit.
Who am I to judge? Who am I to deny love? Who am I to try and pick your world apart? But I refuse to be deceived by imposters and the thieves that attempt to gain an entrance in my heart. No, they won't take this ground. Their words won't leave me bound. No, I won't be moved. My roots are firmly sound. Soon they'll find out who am I. Maybe there's more to me. Maybe there's more that lies beneath. Maybe even my dreams have been deceived. Maybe I can learn to love without fear of being judged, without fear of all the world rejecting Yeah, I'm taking this ground. No, my words will not fall down. I can see my future breaking through these clouds. I'm finding out who am I? Who am I? Who am I?
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much for watching this week. We appreciate you. And
Emma,
yeah.
what's up, Emma?
Yo, what Emma say?
He said top of my playlist.
Oh, that's what's up, man.
And Junior said, "Yo, these guys."
Junior, what's up, brother? Yo,
we miss you.
Thank
We
you
miss
guys,
man.
Adam.
Yo, let us know when you're ready for us to come see you, man. We want to see you, man. Yeah. Everybody, we appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Appreciate everybody who was here today. Thanks, Stan, for coming out this week,
Yes,
man.
sir.
We love having you here, man.
Hey,
You gotta do it more often. Me and you matching with the merch and everything. I appreciate that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you guys like what we're doing, you can always go to the Patreon and support and be a member. You can sign up. It's patreon.com/youngliontv. You can also go to jatan.com and you can hear that song. It's called Who Am I? You can hear all of our music there. And you can get our merch. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. We're out of here.
Young lion, go live, yeah. Young lion, you rich, yeah. This kingdom has room, yeah. Go and fight people in, ooh.